Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be basically giving my thoughts on the new dungeon Operation Mechagon. I decided to do this one in a little bit different way. I'm just going to kind of go through all the bosses, some of the in-between bosses that I thought were interesting, and kind of just give my thoughts on it as we go here. So this video is going to be really long, just with boss fights alone, it'd be over a 20-minute video, and it is. And yeah, so it's going to be kind of long, so stick with me here. If you're only interested in hearing about a certain boss, you can skip ahead to that certain boss. But instead of doing a lot of times I want to talk about the bosses individually. I don't really want to do a boss guide for the dungeon necessarily, although I may still do that as well. A lot of times I just put out 5 minutes of my thoughts, but I don't really get to talk about the bosses. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm also going to probably do this on the raid, unless it just is too long and I can't make it somewhat shorter. Maybe I can do like 2 videos for the raid or something. But anyways, this what we're seeing now is the first boss. This is the big Trog, and he has kind of a. This is obviously going to be an easier boss because it's at the beginning, but he still has an interesting mechanic. When you get a spark or a jolt, whatever it is, when you get electrified, you have to run out to these different pillars, and when those are charged up, electrical charge is what it's called. When those are charged up, it'll kill the ads for you because there's constant ads coming. Although if you had a good enough DPS group, you could probably just AoE down the ads. The other option you have is, and eventually I think I might do it on accident, but I think I told my group I did it on accident. I wanted to see what happened if I charged up the robot, and the robot runs around AoEing the ads. So that's another option. I don't know if you can only do that once, or what the difference is between doing those things, because I've only, this is my first run on this. Here we'll see me charge up the robot here. And he goes around and starts AoEing everything. So that could just be a one-time thing. I'm not sure. I might even see after this robot's done what the case is on that. But it's just a real easy fight. Just AoE, DPS the boss, charge up the stuff. You don't want to stack on each other when you're charged because it does damage. But other than that, it's pretty dang simple, frankly. So we'll just finish this boss down. If you can see the damage meter in the bottom right, I ended up just doing way more damage in this group, and maybe this isn't the same group. I don't know. I actually had to leave a group because I was doing so much. I was doing all the work basically, and they were kind of rude to me when I first joined. So I actually don't have the sludge boss in this video. That's the one boss I'm missing because I joined another group and they happened to be on the third boss. So that's where I started off at. Yeah, so I ended up joining a different group, and here we are at the third boss. So this boss it's your typical two boss where they have to die near the same time, or else they get empowered or whatever. So you want to kill them at nearly the same time. I actually struggled really bad on this boss, figuring out when I was the one targeted by the Mega Tase. I don't know why. It seems fairly obvious. I think there's something over your head even. But I, for some reason, just could not quite figure out when I was targeted. I know one time specifically, I thought it was targeting the other paladin and not me. And I don't know if that was just screwing me up. But I was like, oh, it's targeting a paladin. It's targeting the healer or whatever. But no, it's targeting me. So I struggled really bad on this boss. After I just said how I was carrying the other group and left because they were rude to me, and then I come in my first boss in here. Well, I did damage fine. I died, which is a little bit embarrassing. So the girl in this fight, she's going to keep casting Tase. You need to interrupt those as much as possible because she's just going to kind of spam cast it when she goes into like this little like mini Tase enrage. And then she also has a Mega Tase, in which case you need to hide in the smoke that the other guy makes when he burns out in his wheel. So, and he does a pedal to the metal. So there's the thing over my head. I'm hiding in the smoke. So this time I actually knew what to do. I ended up bubbling anyways, just out of fear that I was going to die. And so anyways, the guy on this fight, he does a pedal to the metal where he's going to charge in his little wheel mobile at you, and you don't want to get hit by that. And then he'll burn out, and that's what creates the smoke that you hide in. So you got to kind of be paying attention to where the smoke is as well. So here's the Mega Tase. You can see the shaman hiding in the smoke very smartly there. Not quite fair because shamans heal when they're in the their Ghost Wolf form. And then that's basically the fight. I enjoyed this fight. Again, it's nothing special here. It's a little bit different. Just there's a lot of abilities for a two. Normally they make these two boss things in dungeons pretty easy, but this is a mega dungeon, so that's what you expect. So here I have it over my head again. I actually do run into the fog here. This time, lay on hands. She also does a little ability where she walks through the sky and can do a little bit of extra damage that way. As you can see, our DPS is split really well on this. This group ended up being really good, especially considering it's just like a pug group. This isn't a guild group or anybody that knew each other. I don't think anybody in this group came together, actually. So I got absolutely destroyed there for not going into the smoke. That's the one where I thought it was on the other paladin. I just was a complete idiot. So we'll see the rest of this here. They're almost done. They end up dying at almost the same exact time. There's a burnout right in front of me. So let's go into this boss. This ended up being maybe my favorite boss fight. I actually had to cut a lot out of this one because it was just so ridiculous, and you'll see why. So the beginning of this fight, you start facing a robot on the ground, and it's kind of the protector or the guardian of the airborne bot that is the main boss. So you're just going to, in general, just dodge the stuff on the ground. Nothing too bad. Tank has to take something, and then the other job for DPS is to CC these little robots that charge at you. We didn't have a ton of CC, so we had some like stuns and stuff like that to kind of stop them. They did kind of overwhelm us a couple times, but we were able to just, it's a big enough area you can kind of run around. And so this part's really easy for the most part, as long as you can dodge stuff, dodge cannon blast. It's super easy. And then the next part became extremely confusing because we didn't know what to do. It's our first time in here, everybody's first time, and we kind of knew what to do. In the dungeon journal it says to hack something. So I'm not sure where to go necessarily, so I just start following the team here, and we're gonna head up here. I'm like, okay, so we have to go up here and hack the stuff. But nothing is charged up. There's nothing to click on. So I'm confused, obviously, at this point. So I don't know. You can see where you're supposed to go just for a moment there on my screen. But this is absolutely hilarious. And it kind of sets up for later for a part that I actually did do correctly, but maybe my other teammates didn't. So I'm following them for a little bit here. I'm like, okay, it looks like they have to go up there. I'm like, okay, I don't want to run through this stuff. So that ground encroaches on you and will eventually kill you. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I actually thought this ramp was going to take me up there at first. So I'm sitting here. So I'm the idiot in this case, mind you. It turns out, though, what you probably want to do is, while you do ever want to hack, you probably want your melee DPS to kind of be waiting on the ramp to go back in and fight the boss, because he takes extra damage when he comes down, and you want to be ready to hit him right away. So that way you're not wasting time. You see, we have one person dead. I walked a little bit too close to the ground there. And eventually I get my shit together and just go up and decide that I need to help them. So you can see they actually are struggling just to even get to the top here. So the struggle is real for them. I found a nice little pathway there. And I went ahead and bubbled. I should have saved that. But so I'm like, okay, so there's electricity. I'm trying to figure it out for myself here. Oh, crap. I'm almost dead. No. Oh, shit. So now you have to get through these robots without touching them, which is apparently what my guys are really bad at. This guy got up at the same time as me. I think it's just me and him that ended up making it up here, honestly. Someone might make it at the very end. The second time we did it, I will say, went a lot better. I think almost everybody made it up there, at least before we finished hacking it. I was ready to leave early as well. Like I said, as a melee, I wanted to kind of get more DPS in. And we ended up doing more damage during the second one too, also because this guy needs to get battle res before he can do damage. So the tank is just struggling really bad. You can see his health continually going down. That's because he just keeps getting hit over and over again. Okay, so Haywire is done. If I was closer, like where the tank is now, I could have got down a DPS. But instead, like it's going to be, what, 2/3? There's only 2/3 left. And we pop heroism. We should have just saved it for the second one at this point. And then we're going to DPS him. And then I'm going to and then after this, you just do it again. and that's why I just cut this boss fight out, because there's no point of explaining the same thing twice except for to say we did it better the second time. Maybe I should have just kept the second time in, but I thought the first part was more funny because of how terrible we did. And I did terrible too, and I don't always do very bad, so sometimes it's kind of nice to make fun of yourself too. So this next boss is called like Tussle Tanks or Tussle Tanks or something like that. So this is a 2-boss fight that's a little bit different. You actually want to kill one before the other if you do it the traditional way. So you want to kill this one. This is like BattleBots, if you ever watched the TV show BattleBots. So you're going to kill the one with the claws in the front, the non-humanoid looking one. And it's going to charge around the room. And you don't... I was kind of tanking it and it was fine. So maybe you can just tank it with the DPS. And it's also going to do this vent thing, which is going to do massive damage to the group. So, possibly would want to stack up during this part to help the healer out, because it's kind of a big room. So you might want to stack up together, which we did not do for this part, for the Flame Jets part. And then you don't want to get hit when it does the charge. Now, there's another robot in here, too. So the humanoid robot, what's happening is the tank's taking him around to these hammers on the side of the wall. And these hammers are going to every once in a while pound down. And every time the humanoid one takes a pound, it removes a stack of plating from it. So then you can do damage to it. So that's why you're on this one first. The other guy has plating on him. That makes him not take damage, basically. I had to help heal a lot in this dungeon. I don't necessarily think the healer was bad. I just think that, heal everyone else up, lay on hands myself there. I don't necessarily think he was bad. I just think he's not accustomed to this amount of damage going out, I guess. I'm not sure. So you see him, this robot charging around. A lot of running on this one, unfortunately, for melee. This one's definitely better for ranged. So you don't have to just be running around the entire time. I guess once you get to the melee robot, it becomes a little bit easier. One thing, here I am standing in the AoE. One thing you don't know when you're doing this boss is you don't actually realize what the humanoid robot's mechanics are, because I typed in defenses before we die every time, and then in my head I go, okay, we have to kill this thing before it flame jets again. I remember debating if I should use my cooldown or not to make sure it died. I decided not to, I think, but I was like, we have to kill this thing before it flame jets again. I'm out of I don't have lay on hands or bubble left. So now we fight the big robot. He's still kiting it around into things. I don't know if you have to continually kite it around. This guy was. He just kept kiting it around to these hammers. It seemed like I was doing fine damage, and it didn't seem anything changed on him. Furthermore, and one thing I didn't even mention about this fight is you have these buzzsaws going around. Now, this is just regular mythic, of course, so this is extremely forgiving. Like, the saw barely hurts you. Either they're going to tune that to make it hurt more, or it's just going to hurt a lot more in Mythic Plus, I'd imagine. I also found it extremely hard to dodge it. I would be standing, in the middle of a giant square sometimes, and it would still hit me. And then once I realized that, it just didn't do any damage. I just didn't care anymore. There's also some bombs on the ground. Don't stand in them. Simple stuff like that. He does an AoE. It's a real simple fight. The hardest thing on regular, at least, is just the flame jets from the first guy, and that's the guy you're killing first anyways. If this big guy did the flame jets, then this would be really hard. I'm guessing there's an achievement or some sort of... I know there's hard modes for this dungeon. I don't know if that has something to do with killing this boss first. And then, this is kind of cool, so I left this in. So, after you kill the boss, I wanted to go loot it. I didn't realize what was going on. I'm like, wait, I didn't get to loot it. But this thing's just sucking you in. And then I'm like, okay, well, I see nothing to loot, so whatever. So I thought this was kind of cool. There's some cool stuff in between bosses from this point on. And you slide down this toxic sludge slide here. You're actually falling into the garbage dump of Mechagon. So I thought that was kind of neat. Then you loot the boss down there, actually. So boss we actually did wipe to once. It's a very, very simple fight, though. So as long as it's basically just don't stand in the wrong place kind of fight. So you'll see these crates pop down. Now you don't want to stand next to one of the crates. You need to stand 10, 15 yards away from a crate, ideally. And that's because of a thing we'll see here soon. So this one has a venting flames. This one's, it's similar. Last boss had a venting flames. This one just does a lot more damage and will kill you. Although you can take like a tick or two of it. I believe it's fine. Now this is the part. So when you have explosive leap, you need to make sure you're not standing next to at least a new crate. So there's a new crate falling down. The old crate's gonna blow up in one tick anyways from the next vent heat, but if you lose your second crate, you're just gonna die because you have nothing to block it. Now maybe with one tick blocked and a healing cooldown and everyone popping defenses, then maybe you could survive it. So here's another vent. Basically, this is the type of fight where you just kind of have to slow play it because you're continually hiding behind boxes and whatnot. So you have to just make sure. And the reason we wiped the first time is I believe it was our priest DPS, our ranged DPS. He was standing next to one of the crates when he got leaped on and destroyed it. So we didn't have anywhere to hide. But it's just a very repetitive fight. You got to run sometimes. You do want to position the boss in a way that you can get to the crate if you are too far away from it. Everyone hides. I didn't even look if this guy dropped a mount, but that'd be kind of a cool mount to have if there's a mount that looks like him. Or maybe the mount drops off of the last boss or something, or a different boss. But this would be a pretty cool mount to have, and it's the type of boss that would normally drop a mount. Venting flames, and just keep running. There's a nice Windrush totem there. Tank can definitely absorb it, especially on this regular mythic. It looked like he could maybe just take the whole thing if he really wanted to. Move away with leap. That one was a little bit closer than I thought. Seeing the replay here, that was a little bit closer than I thought last time. He's almost dead. I lay on hands. Oh, in the last 2 ticks. So, you could probably take about half of it, maybe, if you had a defensive up. But yeah, I died right at the very end there, which is kind of funny. First. Alright, so this part is kind of cool. I left this in. I had more of it because it's kind of funny watching my team kind of fall. So you're running up this ramp, and then these flame jets go off, and they don't do a ton of damage, but what they'll do is they'll knock you off. Somehow they fell off without the flame even hitting them, I think. But so the flame will go off. The point here is just to be careful. Only one person really has to make it up, which I'll show you first. Everyone else can kind of... If one person can go fast and everyone else is slow playing it, then that's fine. But you ideally would want, somebody going up fast. You see, I think that's the tank that fell down again. This poor tank. And you'll see coming up here, just... Oh my gosh, you won't actually see it because I had to cut it out because it just was so long. It was like 10 minutes, but it was just a hilarious part. So right here now you have to go through like a maze of these robots, and our tank just could not get this. To be fair, the priest couldn't do it either really, and everyone else kind of got hit by it. So as you see, this is my first time in here ever, and I just run through it. It's not that hard. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. It's really easy. But literally, it took the tank about 10 minutes to do that part. It was really funny. I kept going back to get him and hoping he would follow me, but he just was very hesitant. People have that personality where they're really hesitant, whatever. So I cut all that out. But so now we're on to this boss. This boss is actually really easy. I both did and didn't like it. It both gave me like a Siege of Borealis feel to it. The room was really small. He summons totems out. Well, they're not really totems, they're defenses, and then he does this flame circle thing. So this part's really easy. Don't get hit by the flame, it does do a lot of damage. It has a buzz saw thing, a saw blade flying at you. That does some damage, but it's not lethal by any means. You don't want to continuously be hit by it, but it's not a lethal blow. You want to make sure the priorities are getting the turrets down and then not getting hit by the circle flames. I mean, those are going to be your number one priorities by far. So it's just periodically he'll summon these turrets out. You want to go kill them. Ideally, you would want range to kill them. We only had one range, so one of our melee was always going to have to kill it. But I found myself... The first one I let them kill. This one I killed a lot by myself. They don't have a ton of health, at least on regular mythic. Our tank wasn't dealing with this circle well either. I don't know, his gear wasn't bad at all, so he at least has done stuff to get himself some gear at some point. But he had some struggles with some things. A very nice guy, though. We only wiped a couple times in the whole dungeon, so I couldn't complain for my first time running this dungeon. So, we're going to see. I don't think I die on this fight. We did wipe one time to it. I should point that out. I can't even remember why we wiped. I think it was just because of a lack of killing a turret, and it just was continually firing at us. And then I don't even know. I was the last one alive, and I just had to kill myself. So I didn't really even see how everyone died, frankly. So this time I just bubble to run through the flames. Let's finish them off, kind of thing here. And so when he enrages here at the end, in like the ground where you killed the turrets at, flames are gonna fly out. So then you want to avoid the flames on the ground. It's like a little enraged for the last part of his health here. So that's like the last mechanic. And then you're almost done. And we actually didn't wipe on the last boss, but the last boss is a really long fight. You have to kind of kill him twice in a way. So it starts out here, and you have Sparks on the ground. He's in his little flying mobile. Now this is going to show you kind of how phase 2 works too. So you want to dodge those sparks on the ground. So they point arrows. There's 4 of them pointing 4 different ways. You have to make sure none of them are pointing at you, ideally. You can see them pointing. They're going to converge. You just dodge them. And this first phase is pretty easy because of that. This is the hardest part because this does a ton of damage. That Giga Zap, and then I believe he does something else that does a lot of damage too. It might be this part. Because I know I almost died at some point. Yeah, right here. So he's doing a cutting beam and chasing somebody. And it does a ton of damage. I think it does some damage to everybody, but the further away you are, the less damage you take, kind of thing. So he's going to shoot the Giga Zap at the tank. Dodge those balls if you can. If you take one, that's not a big deal. You just don't want to take like 3 or 4 of them. But I thought this was the entire fight, because I didn't read the entire dungeon journal. But you don't want to be stacked with the tank there. Dodge, take off, run away. This time I run way far away because I almost died the first time. And thank goodness I didn't almost die. Thank goodness I didn't really almost die to the point where I bubbled or something, because I ended up needing every possible thing in phase 2. I pretty much completely carried this fight, just from a sense of the amount of healing I did to keep everybody alive, to keep enough people alive to finish the fight off. Giga Zap. Looks like the tank could dodge that from what I just saw there. So I got hit by too many of them there. Then I get hit by the takeoff. So I actually did use my bubble. Okay, I was wrong. Alright, so it must have came back up then later in the fight. The other paladin almost died there. I'm helping heal. Shaman's almost dead. So now I thought we were gonna be done. So I wanted to heal. I was gonna heal. So right at that moment, to take inside my thinking was to heal the shaman. But I saw him almost dead, so I didn't heal the shaman. As you can see, the first thing I do is heal the shaman when I come out of the stun, because I thought the fight was over. I'm like, oh, that was really easy. So now he's in this giant thing, and we don't get this in a boss fight very often. So you still have those orbs pointing, and you're gonna want. If you have like multiple melee, what you really want to do is just have one on each side, or have the tank in the corner, then a melee on one side, melee on the other side, and that's to avoid the zap ability. So the Giga Zap targets an individual person still, and you just gotta spread out away from that person basically. This is annoying for melee. He does have a large hitbox, which I didn't find out until a little bit later in the fight. I kept getting really close to him, thinking I needed to. And then you got to run away from wherever the point is for the Magneto arm. This is going to do damage to everybody. So this is the thing that, especially for our healer, that was going to be really harmful because of the fact that he struggled with the AoE healing. So this is me just trying not to hit anybody with my Giga Zap. And I have to stop and heal. It's a rough time being a paladin in here. A lot of healing when you're rat. In this group, at least. Dodge the balls as best you can. Heal. Oh, here goes the Giga Zap. So see how that shaman's over there on the side. Ideally, he would be there. I would be over here. The range would be spread out in the back to where theirs wouldn't hit us either. So it'd almost be like a trapezoid where the two melee are the long side corners, and the 2 ranged are the top side corners. Or if you had 3 ranged, it'd be the opposite with 2 melee kind of in the middle area. Priest is really hurt. Help heal him up. I just didn't always trust this paladin to heal up. Priest's almost dead again. But, that's becoming a little bit too common. I don't know if I stop and heal him this time. I probably was thinking, if he dies, lay on hands. Waste my lay on hands on the priest that keeps dying. Luckily, he's almost dead at this point. Kick his zap. So right here, I don't know if that's a bug or not, but I actually was able to negate the Giga Zap by line of sighting it. I don't know if that was intentional by them, but you can do that as far as, unless they put a hotfix in for that. So here comes a Magneto arm, kind of a Marvel ripoff there. No healing going out at this point. Decide to stop and heal myself. Giga Zap, dodge. Giga Zap. Heal myself. Ooh, I got hit by a double hit there. Alright, so now I'm crapping my pants because I am like, oh no. I thought that the fight was over, but luckily this guy he doesn't have very much health once he gets out of his robot. So that's the end of the fight there. I found the last fight really, really interesting. It was really fun. And yeah, sorry this video was so long, but this is my commentary, my thoughts on it. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps me out the most. I'll probably put out actual boss fights or something like that to make a little bit shorter videos. But this is my full thoughts, and everybody have a good one.